Hello again, everyone. I'm so glad you are all back. We've made it through a whole week. Again, now we're back to another CCL Fever game. And let me just say, so I'm going to preface this. So last week on Tuesday, for work, we went on like a trip with we went to a game with the entire team. It was my first NBA game. I was super stoked about it. But I made a point not to check my phone, not to take text messages from anybody. All of my close friends that would have texted me, I said, don't message me. I don't care if it's an emergency. Do not talk to me until I can get home and watch the game because I want to feel like I'm watching it live.
Did any of them break your rules when Brad Guzan was red carded?
I did. Oh, completely. I got so many messages of people being like, wait till you see this game. And then other ones that are like, you're gonna lose it. And that sets you up for this whole what the HE double hockey sticks happened during this game for these people to be messaging me these things. And gotta say it was a wild ride. Of course, being an Atlanta United fan and just being there in the moment, the red card, obviously looking back, it was a red card.
It's
like, Goose, what can you do? It was a really bad back pass from Barco. It just sort of set itself up for failure.
Yep.
And then, you get the Wonder Kid. And we talked about the Wonder Kid, right? Before we even watched the match. We said this guy is the backup goalkeeper. It's obviously really great that they signed him. Ben was suffering a little bit from an injury. And then obviously Alex is still coming back from his surgery. So It made sense for them to sign. And then who would have thought, even put on their radar, that he would have had to glove up and be stuck in between the poles and just put in a performance, young man.
It was good.
What a performance.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
The little shaky at times with the hands, and the best save
to catch it. He needs to hold it.
Yeah, that worried me a few times. The best save he made was a follow-up on a drop in front of him, which the reaction was great because he didn't panic, but he shouldn't have been in that situation. He's 18. He's on the road in this game. He didn't expect to play. You give him a ton of credit. I think maybe some people are overreacting a little bit to it, but it was important. I mean, it was what was needed, and you saw, I think, two different sides of what Atlanta United can be in 2021. You saw a first half where they played good soccer, got forward, controlled the game, really didn't give up much going the other way. And then you saw a second half where they were grinding, they were fighting, they were scrapping, and they found a way not just to survive in the first leg, which is what they're always about, set yourself up to win the second. They won the first leg with 10 men where you get the goal. Maybe a little fortunate. The Costa Rican media, not a fan of the referee decision to give the handball. I thought it was a handball, then I thought it wasn't. Then I thought it was. Then I wasn't sure. Then I thought it wasn't 10 minutes later when they found a different replay. I'm still not 100% sure it wasn't. But
I've seen multiple viewpoints of this, right? So there are the freeze frame viewpoints where it's both the face and the arm are in the same vicinity of where the fuzzy shape is moving. So, of course, you're not going to be able to dictate whether that was or was not. Of course, you can be hit in the arm and at the face at the same time, so necessarily pointing at your face doesn't...
It could have hit his arm and then hit him in the face, and that would still be a handball.
Correct. Exactly. So it's controversial, I'm sure, but regardless, Atlanta pushed. They got that. It was a great cross from Bello. So, I mean, he's going to have to put his body in the way anyway.
Yeah.
But great work from Bello and Barco for that. And I got to say, after Barco gave up that that bad back pass to Goose in the first half, he really put in his jets and worked really hard to sort of make up for the mistake
He did.
throughout the rest of the game. I thought he put in a great performance. Other people I would definitely like to mention, obviously, is Sosa. We talked about him last week as being a pure
Santi
stand.
Sosa.
What was that?
Santi Sosa.
So is this? Am I going to hear this in radio calls now from you? Just
Santi?
Sosa.
Yeah, absolutely, because we're going to talk about him a lot. I mean, he was a holding midfielder who played center back, completely comfortable, had the most touches on the field, great passer, had a couple of really good looks where he just opened the field up with his passing. But then in the second half where it had to get a little nasty and he had to get stuck in and not look like he was going to be on the cover of Tiger Beat, he showed that he can fight a little bit. I mean, he could have his pick of whatever boy band he wanted to join, but he showed he can fight too, and that's what you need. You're going to need a team that can do both. You're going to need a team that can play pretty soccer, and you're going to need a team that can play kind of nasty fighting soccer at times. You're going to see both in Atlanta this year.
A lot of what that game was in the second half, although of course adverse to different outcomes, although it was exactly the same, but at different times for different opposition as well. So that game reminded me of Minnesota when we were on our back heels, 45 minutes plus because of an early red to LGP, and it just that whole idea of constantly defending. But what you saw out of them, obviously you didn't get to see a lot of what they had been working on because it kind of got taken out of the books early on, but you did see a lot of still passing and cycling and possession, and they were about maintaining the ideas that were instilled even while they were on their back heel and sort of parting. I would say they parked a luxury bus because it wasn't like a broken down bus where the wheels were stuck into the grass. They still moved a little bit. Obviously they pressed enough to get the PK, but like it was a very pretty of parking of the bus in some ways.
I don't think they parked the bus. I think the bus got parked by the opposition. To start the second half, I mean, they came out and they weren't really parking the bus, even playing with 10. But once you got the goal, especially once you got past about the 70th minute and the legs were gone and you're playing with 10 and you are just having to grind it out, I don't think you really could get forward very much. When you could get Bello and Lennon forward, you were able to do a little something. You had a couple of runs with Barco and Joseph, but really not much after that. I think a lot of it was fatigue. I think Bello was really struggling towards the end. Lennon somehow never seems to struggle with fatigue. I don't get it. Like every 10 games, it'll look like his legs are about to fall off. I think the Nashville game last year where he had a horrible 45 minutes because he had nothing left in the tank. Outside of that, I mean, the guy just never seems to get tired. The interesting thing about this game tomorrow is we saw the 3-4-3 on last Tuesday because they played two up top. They played Marcel Hernandez, who is not here. He's not allowed to leave Costa Rica. Different issue than the new visa issues that they've had. So they've got the different issue with Marcel Hernandez because he is going on trial in June. And I always preface this because, yes, he is going on trial for having sex with an underage girl. The case has been dismissed twice. And it has been appealed, and this is the third time it's been appealed, and he can't leave the country while it's being appealed. I don't know any other details to it than that, so I don't know. I'm not casting anything on the guy because I don't know, but he can't leave the country. You already knew that one. You had 5 other guys who had visa issues before the current issue, and I don't think they really got resolved. It's a little up in the air, and if they did or they didn't. Now, Alajuelense issued a statement and said that they've got 5 more guys who played with the national team, including Alex Lopez, who played with Honduras' national team in Europe. They're not allowed to come in the country due to the proclamation that the White House issued in late January, which was before the CONCACAF Champions League draw. So it was known when the game was drawn, when the game was scheduled. It was known when Costa Rica made their call-ups. There was never a word about it until Sunday. That's a problem on Alajuelense's part, and I think they got to take some blame here. CONCACAF's got to take some blame because they shouldn't have allowed this to happen either. I think people trying to blame Atlanta United are just completely missing the conversation about any of it because they don't get to schedule the game. Alajuelense allegedly wanted to move the game to another date. That can't happen because you have league games. You can't just move it because Alajuelense wants to, because the rules were the rules and the protocol was the protocol, and it didn't get followed. But Johan Venegas is another player who will not be here. So Hernandez, not here. Venegas, not here. You played 3-4-3 last week because they played 2 up top, because that's how Alajuelense has always played, 4-4-2. They've only got one real forward now in Jurgens Montenegro, the 20-year-old who scored 8 goals this season. Very good player, young. He's the only real true forward they have. So if they play 2 up top, they're going to play somebody there who is not a traditional forward. It could be a winger tucking inside. You've got Alonso Martinez, you've got Aaron Suarez, you've got Brandon Aguilera. Or they could go 4-3-3, which is really what suits the players that they have. This is why Santi is so important, because you don't have to make a sub. You don't have to worry about it. You can start same group you had last week. Let's say that's what they do. They throw Moreno in for Mulroney. Let's say that's the lineup for Atlanta United tomorrow. It can start in a 3-4-3 shape, and if Alajuelense only plays Montenegro up top, Santi just steps up into the midfield. The 2 central midfielders step up higher, and you're in a 4-3-3. He's so critical because you can change the shape without changing the personnel. And I think that's what you're going to have to go into this and possibly do, because it's a total unknown as to how Alajuelense deals with this. ESPN in Costa Rica does have a proposed lineup for Alajuelense. Backup goalkeeper, Mauricio Vargas, because they're missing their goalkeeper. Backline is pretty solid and pretty experienced with guys who have played a good bit this year. Jose Salvatierra on the right side, Daniel Areola, who's the veteran Mexican player at center back. Fernan Fierron is a young center back who's played a good bit, who was with the U23s at the Olympic qualifying. And Jurgen Roman on the left side. He's played the majority of the games on the left side. So backline's pretty traditional. Midfield, Jose Cubero, who played as a center back last Tuesday. He's a holding midfielder. He can step back up into that. Bernard Alfaro, who has got some time with the national team. Brandon Aguilera, who can play out wide but can also play centrally. That could be a 3-man midfield. Alonso Martinez is very, very good, and I think he becomes critical in this game. Aaron Suarez out wide in a 4-3-3 shape, and Montenegro up top. That's what ESPN Costa Rica is predicting here, just because of who they have available, because they don't really have a lot of options to play 2 up top, and that's what they've always done.
Speaking of options on being able to play, let's talk a little bit about Atlanta United now and about what we could see as far as their roster.
Yeah.
We have not seen any announcements about an extended, emergency contract type of thing with Rocco, who then becomes the goalkeeper. And what does our goalkeeper situation look like? Because we're obviously missing Brad between the sticks.
Yeah, so I will go and read between the lines of Gabriel Heinze and what he had to say today. Alec Can, not available. He talked about having 4 goalkeepers he's worked with on the roster. Can, not available, injured, not ready to play yet. Kazan, suspended. He said he had 2 goalkeepers available. The 4 he's worked with, the 2 that are left, are Lundgaard and Rocco Rios Novo. There hasn't been an announcement on Rios Novo. There doesn't really have to be until tomorrow. It's just signing him to another short-term agreement. You're going to have to. There's no other way. But from what we can glean from what Heinze said, Lundgaard is available. Is he available to start, or is he basically an emergency goalkeeper on the bench? He's not quite 100%. That part we don't know. And Heinze gave you no hints as to what that would look like today. I think you would like to see Lundgaard here, but he's not a super experienced goalkeeper either. He's got about 15 games or so at the professional level under his belt. All of those are USL Championship. Having a chance to see him last year a good bit with the 2s. He's a little bit more like Brad than Rios Novo is, in that he's a bigger guy. He is pretty good with his feet for being 6'6". He's very vocal, which is good. He's got a lot of confidence. I like Ben Lundgaard in the long term, but I just don't know how sharp he is for a game like this. And if there's any concern about sharpness, I think you go back to Rocco because he played last week.
Yeah, do you go with that momentum then as a goalkeeper coming off of a win like that? Obviously, a hardened win for somebody that's was not expected to start the game anyway. Do you sort of carry with that momentum and do you give Rocco the start? I think he's earned it. I do agree that Lingard's great as a goalkeeper, but I am with you. It is for me. It's a momentum, and for me, it's the freshness. And you've already worked with these guys on this back line against this opposition, so I feel like it would be a clearer play to have Rocco start.
If Lingard had played some in any of the preseason games, I would go with Lingard, but he hasn't. He hasn't played anything even semi-competitive so far this season. So I think you have to go with Rocco Rios Novo because of that.
Let's talk about the back line. Obviously, we had Anton start. Anton is a key piece for this team because he can really fit into a bunch of different places. And I think the pairing between Miles and Anton really worked last week. And we obviously saw that Anton, Miles, Lennon, and Bello really held up that back line with Sosa dropping in as that additional. Do we see the same sort of lineup in the back line? The reason I ask this question is because we are going into a rivalry match on Saturday. Do we see any changes in the standard lineup that we had last week?
One thing we did learn today with Gabriel Heinze speaking to the media was that Alan Franco will not be part of the match tomorrow. That makes me think that he will be part of it on Saturday. I think that gives him a little more time. He'll have maybe a couple of weeks training under his belt. I think that means it's walks. It's the same back line. I would imagine if there's any questions about the legs coming into this and you are thinking about Orlando, if it's Mikey on the left as opposed to George Bello, if it is Ronald Hernandez who hasn't been 100%, didn't make the trip. I think that's a little bit more of a longer shot for him to be on the right side. I think Ambrose playing for Bello would be fine. I mean, I don't think it'd really change a whole lot here. Ambrose is definitely capable. He's maybe a little more comfortable tucking inside. We did see Bello do that some, though, and that's new for him. That's a new way of thinking for a left back who gets forward really, really well, to be comfortable coming inside a little bit and sitting as a midfielder. Ambrose can do that a little more comfortably, but this is a game where you'd like to get something to put it away. I think it's the same group, but a lot of it depends on how they recovered from that first competitive match last week and then looking ahead to Orlando.
Awesome. So if we're talking about looking ahead to Orlando, the one thing I do want to ask before we start getting into questions from the audience is I don't think Joseph is still yet match fit for a full 90. Do we see him try to get more underneath his legs this go round and actually start the game and try to go 60 minutes plus so that he's fresh and ready to go for Orlando?
See, I could almost see it the other way, is he's not 90 minutes fit for both.
Right.
And maybe it is 30 to 45 here and then start in Orlando and go as long as you can. I think there's just a little bit of magic you'd like to have with him facing Orlando. So I'm good with conserving him a little bit for that. You do need more from Lisandro Lopez. The movement was good. The soccer IQ, the soccer brain, outstanding from him. He makes everything work the way they want to play. But the quality wasn't quite where you want it to be. That needs to pick up a little bit if he is going to get the start here. But I would probably like to see Joseph and Lisandro split it, go 45 each, and then Joseph gets the start in Orlando and goes as deep into it as he can.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, I'm going to start reading some questions, obviously, from the audience.
Yeah.
Just a few, and then we can sort of end up with your recap on the one thing that you think is going to be the key piece for this game tomorrow. One question that Guadro, sorry.
Gustavo, that is Gustavo from Buenos Aires.
Okay, well, there you go.
I know these people.
I know you do. I'm not gonna answer this, but I am gonna ask this to you to see your opinion on it. Do you think Alajuelense were overconfident in the game we played against them on Tuesday?
I don't think the team was. I think maybe some folks around the team, like Costa Rican media and pundits and such, were. I think in general, a lot of American soccer pundits were less than confident about any team having any opportunity to do anything. I mean, I heard the commentary going into Philadelphia and Saprissa, like, oh, you got to be really worried here. And it's like, have you actually paid attention to Saprissa this year? They're not good. Like, the name I know and what they've done in the past I know, but they're like, Saprissa's not good. Alajuelense's good. But we talked about it a lot in the build-up to this. When you play in a lesser league and you play at a slower pace, you saw how much they struggled in the first 45. They did not have control of the game. They had a couple opportunities where they nearly caught you with numbers forward, or they caught you on a long ball. They didn't have any control of the game. And I don't expect them to have that here. So I don't think the team was overconfident. I think they were overmatched. I do think there were people around it on both sides. I think there were American pundits who need to have more confidence in the American teams because I think the talent gap has really grown. And I think there were Costa Rican media members and Costa Rican pundits who were overconfident about where the league is. When their manager says, a few weeks before this game, like, hey, these types of games that we're playing in the league where it's 1-1 and it's choppy and the other team's trying to break up the play and the other team's trying to waste time and they can't play at the same level as us, and it hurts us going into international competition. And I think you saw that in the first 45 minutes. So it's just, they're at a different level, and Atlanta United's at a different level, and you got to give Gabriel Heinze and the players a lot of credit for being as competent as they were in the style of play that early.
Speaking of competence, do you feel like the team, as far as Atlanta United, is going to get a boost as Ropes X77 says? I feel so weird because it's like I'm sure you know their names, and I'm just having to use.
I always pick something to go with on it. Like Ropes is Ropes. So I always pick something to shorten it.
All right. So Ropes said, how do you think having 1,500 fans and, the action at the Fraction will help the team?
John's not here. You don't have to say action at the Fraction.
Oh, no, but I actually really like that saying, so I will continue it. It's the action at the Fraction. It's a wonderful, that's a wonderful saying. What are you talking about? You don't like math?
No.
Come on. All right. Dude, speaking of confidence, obviously they're coming off of a win.
Yep.
From Costa Rica. Are you going to see this team really live in that environment, in that moment, with all of the screaming five stripes behind them?
Yeah.
This will be the first time really since last season that they're going to feel the energy of the crowd.
It'll be the first time since that last game last year. And I think the first couple of games where you had people in the bins, it was better than not having anybody in there, but it was still weird.
Yeah.
The last game, it felt a little bit more like a match. I think this will feel like a match. I think people will be pumped. I think people are excited about this team right now. Even with 1,500, I think it'll be loud and intense. That'll give you a boost. It will. I think the biggest thing that gives you a boost, though, is when you hear the opposition talking about wanting to get the game postponed and talking about, the gulf in quality between the two and all that. I think that tells you that they come in and they know they're overmatched. You need to come out and blow the doors off as early as possible. In a perfect world, you've got the thing under control by halftime, and then you can really use your subs to think about Saturday. You can use it to get Joseph 45 minutes to get him sharper. You can use it to get Campbell 45 minutes. You can use it to get Tyler Wolf 45 minutes maybe. You can get guys out of there that you want to play a big role on Saturday. But you got to come out with intensity to open it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, just to keep the Twitch pitch up to date on where I'm at. So the question I'm going to pitch to you is, do you think Eric Lopez will start? And the thing I will say here is that Fender and Trains, I'm not getting to those questions. Trains, we might actually talk about that on the Saturday match on Friday for the run-up, but not at this moment. So do you think Eric Lopez will start?
I don't think so. I don't know what the situation was with him in the last one. He traveled, but he wasn't in the game day roster. I don't know if there was an injury. I don't think Gabriel Heinze has been asked that, actually. So he's not going to tell you if he's not asked. So I don't know. I would have guessed no because of that. The other thing that I still hold on to with Eric Lopez is Heinze talked about Eric Lopez working centrally.
Mhm.
I kind of had an impression that maybe you could see him out wide looking at the way this team would play. But if he's been working centrally, that would be as a forward, but also possibly as one of the attacking central midfielders in the 4-3-3, which is a little bit closer to what he played against Club America in the CONCACAF Champions League last year. And you got a lot of competition for those spots. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to get the start. If there was an issue with last week, I think you'll take your time in getting him back into the flow.
So along those lines, I know that you briefly threw out the idea or the notion that Hyman would be swapped for Moreno. Do we see Moreno coming and starting in
Yeah.
for this game?
Yeah,
Okay.
Moreno starts. I think it's the question is, do you? And this is where it's a little tricky because you don't know how the other team's going to line up. You like having Franco Ibarra in if you have to play Sosa as a center back because Ibarra can play as a holding midfielder and play deeper. He's a little more of the combative central midfielder. I'm kind of with that ESPN report out of Costa Rica. I don't know if they have the personnel to play two up top. So I think Sosa ends up playing more in the midfield. If you want to roll the dice, you could play Barco centrally. You could move Moreno back out to the wing. We also, need to see if Jurgen Damm can get into the team and get the start. Because if it's Damm and Moreno out wide, and if it is Joseph or Lisandro up top, then that would be a starting three that I think we've expected coming into the season. Barco played out wide in the last one. Does he play out wide with Moreno on the other side? Does Moreno drop into the middle? There's still a lot of things that we could see change here, and some of it's going to depend on how Heinze feels like the opposition's going to line up. He's going to want to put, I think Moreno especially, 1v1 with their weakest option to defend him. And if that means it's central, if that means it's right, that means it's left, he could end up in any of those spots because you're going to want him running at defenders.
For sure. Well, it's going to be exciting. I'm this time I actually get to watch it live, so I don't mind people messaging me if something crazy goes on. Thankfully, I don't have it recorded with all of my notifications on mute. That being said, I'm going to queue up the Twitch pitch. I would love for you guys to drop in what you think this game's going to end at tomorrow. Give us your score predictions before I ask Jason for his. I want to ask, who do you think is going to be the man of the match tomorrow and the key piece to get us through to the next round?
My man of the match last time around was Sosa. I don't think he'll have as much defensive work to do here because I think Atlanta takes control of this early. I think Alajuelense is shaken by the whole situation, which is understandable. It's not ideal. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I wish they were at full strength, so there's nothing to talk about afterwards in that regard, but they're not going to be. So I think they're going to be a little broken, and I think Marcelino Moreno takes advantage of that. I think Moreno getting back into the team fresh, he's going to have a point to prove. I think we started to see that a little bit last year towards the end. He's got a little bit of an edge to his game. I think he's going to show that here. I think Moreno creates a couple of goals in the first half, and he's the man of the match.
Interesting. All right, so some of the Graham with a 6-0. Wow, that is a strong prediction. I see a lot of 3-1s, 2-1s, 3-1s, 3-0s, 2-0s. So a lot of people thinking, obviously, like you said, that Atlanta's going to take control early and get a couple goals. I will say before I ask for your score prediction that I'm going to be a broken record this season, but I think Barco's going to end up spoiling a lot of people's man of the match predictions because this is his year. It's one of those years where I feel like he, in some ways, has grown up a bit. He's matured. He's ready to take on the responsibility as the leader of this team and to take on the creative responsibility as well on the attacking end. So I'm excited to see where he goes this season, and I'm excited to see where we're at a couple games into the season because I think a lot of people are really going to fully soak in that boat season is here. So that's my prediction. As far as score prediction, I'm going to probably say 2-1. What's yours, Jason?
I'm going to go 3-0. I'll go 2 in the first half, 1 in the second half. I don't think they find anything because I think you take control early. So Also, cleaning up a couple of other things. Thank you. I don't know if it's trains or not. It says it's not ATL trains, so I will take the name and the Twitch pitch and not go choo-choo with it. He said that Heinze did say that Eric Lopez wasn't injured about last week, so thanks for that clarification. I had that one wrong. Also, Percy about Moreno over Heineman. I don't know if it's necessarily over Heineman. My feeling is that you'd like to get the group that I think is your best group on the field as soon as you can. I think that's Dom on the right. I think it's Moreno on the left. And then that means Barco and Heineman as your two central midfielders. That's what I've felt like is your best starting 11 coming into this. It's still early. You got guys in different places in terms of fitness. You still got some issues, so you might not get there here. I think Heineman is a starter in your best 11 right now. He was better than fine, I thought, in the game last week. He wasn't outstanding, but he was better than average. He wasn't just a passenger. He was there, and he was okay. He had one good opportunity. I'm still like, I want more because I think he's got it in him, and I think the system will suit him once you get Moreno and Dom really stretching the field wide. I do think you'll see Moreno centrally at times. I do think you'll see Barco out wide at times, and it might be in-game moments and in-game switches. But I think you'll see some fluidity there, and Heineman is a guy who can kind of hold it down in that midfield. But I feel like I'm a broken record on this one all year, is he's got to produce. He's got to take advantage of the shape, the opportunities are created, because if you get full best 11 in this team, and it is Joseph centrally, it is Dom and Moreno out wide, it's Barco running one channel. That's four guys that most defenses in this league are going to key on. Mm-hmm. Heineman will be the fifth guy in the attack because you're going to attack with five. Mm-hmm. He's going to have opportunities because they can't defend all five of them very well. He has to take advantage of them because if he doesn't, it'll be somebody else. You know, there's a lot of guys that are going to be fighting to win that spot. If somebody's not producing, they're going to sit down for a little while. I think it's going to play out. So Heineman's got to be better than fine going forward to keep a spot.
Absolutely agree. It's going to be exciting, guys. We're right on the cusp. Obviously, we're in the middle of CCL fever, so the game tomorrow is just going to be absolute chaos, I'm sure. Chaos in the best way. Hopefully not chaos like last game, but definitely chaos and excitement. Leading us into Saturday. I know that we're definitely doing a run-up, Jason, but time-wise, we'll get back to you on seeing what time works for that, and we will announce that on Twitter, so just stay tuned to both Jason and I's social channels. Any last words, Jason, before we send it off?
Okay, one more question, and I want your take on this one. Who's wearing the captain's armband to start the match tomorrow?
Good question. Because it was passed to Emerson once Brad got off the field, correct?
Lisandro had it between the two. Lisandro had it when he was subbed out. It went to Emerson.
Well,
that really surprised me that Emerson got it.
Yeah, if Lisandro starts, I'm assuming Lisandro has it. I think also, similarly, if Joseph started, I think Joseph has it.
Maybe.
Another person I would put on that list would be Miles.
Absolutely.
I think Miles needs to stand up in more of a leadership role anyway, so I do think putting that armband on him would incentivize him to do so. I also will say, absolutely, this goes back to the game last week. Bello stepping in between the Alajuelense players and the ref. Chef's kiss.
Hey, we did get some clarification, though. Anton Walk said he told him to do it.
Oh. Walk's got to call him out like that? Jeez,
Walks is getting the credit. Walks is taking that credit. I thought Anton was very good last week as well. Anton is a really important player in this group. He's a very, very important piece because he can spell anybody on that back line. I think he will. I think he'll play a lot this year, but he might not be a regular starter in one position. You need guys like that from time to time. A couple other things from a housekeeping perspective. First off, if you guys have more questions, you know where you can find us. The Kelly Francis on Twitter. I'm at Longshoe. The show Soccer Down Here. We're back in the morning, Tomorrow's show is going to be jam-packed with folks. John Arnold, who covers CONCACAF in great detail, is going to join us at 9:30. Give us the big picture CONCACAF perspective going into the second legs. Dylan Butler, who writes for MLSsoccer.com, is going to join us at 10:30 to talk about everything from an MLS perspective going into the second legs. And then Mike Conti joins us at 11 o'clock. So we are going past the 2-hour mark tomorrow, which happens more and more these days. And it's a game day, so that will happen. Pre-game, Mike and I will have a pre-game stoppage time edition for you. I think it's going to go live because it's a 6 o'clock kick. It's going to go live about 4:45 on the 92.9 The Game Facebook page, facebook.com/929 The Game. We will be online for the lineup. We'll talk about that. Lineup releases are going to be something a lot of people are anxious for every match because I think they're going to be very different every match. During the match, we did this last time. We'll do it again here because we don't have radio coverage tomorrow. We will have a watch along here. It is not a substitute for watching the match because we can't do that. There's rights involved. I will be talking about the game as I'm watching it, and it will be like basically we're sitting at the bar and talking about the game. So you're going to need to watch the game too. It's not a radio call. Like you can't just listen to the watch along. And then we'll have post-game coverage after that, probably with other folks chiming in. So it's going to be a busy day on the SDH Universe tomorrow, but as questions come up, definitely reach out. The Kelly Francis, and I'm at Longshoe and Soccer down here on Twitter. And we got a lot to do this week because right after that, Wednesday, it's recap day, and we got all the other CONCACAF games, and then
Stoppage time
on Wednesday, and then we get ready for the run-up on Friday. And I will also tease for you guys, we're going to have some different things with Atlanta United coverage from the team, Mike and I, this year. So you might want to go ahead and subscribe and get notifications to the YouTube page for Atlanta United. Especially sometime on Friday, we're going to have something for you.
Here first.
You are. You are getting breaking teasing. So,
the mic, man.
Yeah, Fridays, you are going to be checking out the Atlanta United YouTube page for new juicy content every Friday. So it's busy, but it's good, and it's exciting, and it's good to have games back, and it's good to have a win under your belt, and I think you're going to get another one tomorrow.
And you know what? That's 2 wins going into the Lions' den, in which the lion will be easily tamed by, of course, its father. So looking forward to that. All right. Either way, everybody, I'm so glad you joined us. Be sure to look out on, like Jason said, our Twitter channel so you can find the time for the run-up on Friday. And then also subscribe to the Atlanta United YouTube channel so you can also see what crazy content Jason's now coming out with that he's not telling us about, that he just dropped on this show right now. So either way, super glad you guys joined us, and we will see you next time.